Warning! Kinda Murdery contains adult themes, explicit language, and descriptions of violence. It is not suitable for anyone, and we recommend you stop listening now.
This is Kinda Murdery Insomniac. Stories to stay awake by. And a bleary-eyed good evening to you, Insomniacs. Tonight is Thursday, November 4th, 2021. And this is Kinda Murdery Insomniac. Stories to stay awake by. If you heard our last episode, then you know Insomniac is a different breed of Kinda Murdery. We cover the darkest tales that humanity has to offer. We're not here to make light. We are not here to giggle. We are here to uncover deep human depravity. This is your last chance to exit stage left and return to a life of warmth and delusion. Still with us? Good. Here we go. Tonight's Insomniac features a tale of maniacal violence, as told in the Ferndale Enterprise on Saturday, August 15th, 1885. It takes place in the town of Blue Lake in Humboldt County, in the far northern corner of the Emerald Triangle. The article is entitled Foul Murder. A human brute cuts a woman's throat. The community was shocked yesterday upon the receipt of the news of a horrible double tragedy that occurred in the vicinity of Blue Lake on the day before. Briefly stated, a man murdered a woman in cold blood and was subsequently put to death at the hands of infuriated citizens. The story of the relations of the parties and the double crime is as follows. About a year ago, Henry M. Benner came to this county and located a quarter section of land a few miles beyond Blue Lake. Shortly after, he built a house and engaged Mrs. Amanda N. Town as a housekeeper. She was a fine-looking woman and had separated from her husband, having entered a suit for divorce in the Superior Court of Humboldt County. She brought 2 children with her when she came to Blue Lake. Benner abused her fearfully while she lived with him, and on one such instance was fined $30 in the Arcata Justice's Court for maltreating her. $30. That's about $848 today. Far too little, in this Insomniac's opinion. Soon after the beating, for which he was fined the inflation-adjusted $848, Amanda left Henry Benner and went to cooking in a logging camp on the North Fork of Mad River. Benner, being infatuated with her, visited her at various times and insisted that she should marry him. This she refused to do, and upon the occasions of his visits, Benner continued to abuse her, and at one time threatened to take her life. These persecutions became well known in the community, and the woodsman told Benner at the time that they would hang him if he visited her again. This caused him to cease his visits to Mrs. Town until the day of the murder. On Tuesday afternoon, having been to Blue Lake to sell his tan bark, Benner proceeded to Graham's logging camp, where the woman was working. Soon after, Perry Hill, a woodsman, heard the cries of a woman, but attached no particular importance to them. Nice work, Perry. That's sarcasm. Perry failed miserably because when Mrs. Town's 2 children came home from school, they found their mother's dead body lying on the floor. The alarm was given, and those who went to the house found that Mrs. Town had been brutally murdered. Her face was beaten black and blue, and her throat was cut from ear to ear. Her hands were cut in several places to the bone, and everything bore evidence that she had made a desperate struggle for her life. She held the knife in her right hand. Benner had undoubtedly relinquished his hold on the weapon after seeing what he had done. He fled. The news of the murder was immediately sent to Blue Lake, where the assassin Benner was found and arrested. No one doubted his guilt. A coroner's jury was immediately summoned and an inquest held. The evidence was not direct, but the circumstances connected with the case, the blood stains on his hands and pants, and upon the shirt which he discarded for a new one, fully warranted the jury in bringing their verdict and charging him with murder. But even at this trying time, with the courtroom filled with excited people, Benner's gall did not desert him. He protested his innocence and stated that even though they hanged him, he would still swear his innocence. His bravado incensed the people who tried to make him confess. In pursuance of this end, he was taken to the logging camp and confronted with the body of his victim. But still, he denied the murder. After all efforts to make him confess failed, he was placed in the stage in the charge of Deputy Sheriff Gordon and Constable Maddox, and the party started on their return trip to Blue Lake. It was now about 9 o'clock in the evening, the murder having been committed about 3, and the night was dark and dismal, like this one. A true Insomniac's night. As the stage in which Benner was riding was going through the dark woods, suddenly there sprang forth more than 100 men and demanded the prisoner. The officers in charge refused to give him up, firing 2 shots in the air. But this had no effect. The officers were seized and laid on their backs and held there. Benner was then seized himself. A rope was fastened around his neck, and the mob dragged him about 75 yards. When 2 pistol shots were fired from the crowd. At this signal, the entire crowd vanished, and the officers arose, and taking the direction they had observed the crowd went, they found the body of Benner. He was still alive, but died in about 10 minutes. His body was taken to Blue Lake, where it was found that he had died of a pistol shot, the ball entering the right side of the stomach, below the lower rib, and then ranging brutally, destructively upward. The crowd that did the deed was made up of the woodsmen from the logging camps for miles around. So beloved was Amanda Town to those Emerald Triangle Paul Bunyan's. The coroner's jury found that Benner was killed by an unknown party. Good riddance, says Insomniac. Sometimes justice must find a way. This has been Kinda Murdery, Insomniac. Stories to stay awake by. I'm Zevon Odelberg, wishing you sweet dreams.
Kinda Murdery Insomniac is created, researched, edited, produced, and hosted by Zevon Odelberg, with opening theme by Niall Madden and art by the Gin of Lang. Available now on all podcasting platforms. If you like the show, please subscribe, review, and tell your friends. You can find us on social media at Kinda Murdery or email at kindamurdery@gmail.com.